Hello! I am Teacher QA. I am so excited to teach you our lesson for today. These are our content standard and performance standard in English 9, Quarter 3. At the end of the lesson, students are expected to judge the validity of the evidence listened to. Now let's get started.
Module 3. Judging the validity of the evidence listened to. Directions. Determine whether the statement is true or false. Write T if the statement is true and F if it is false. Write your answer on the space before the number. 1. When reading others' arguments and texts, there is no need to check the credibility and reliability of evidence. 2. A text, fiction, or non-fiction is generally supported by evidence found in multiple sources. 3. Scholarly articles are samples of a strong source where evidence in a text can be obtained. 4. It is not highly necessary to determine the credentials of the person or source responsible for the evidence in a certain piece of writing. 5. Evidence found in primary source such as literary works, historical documents, photos, and biographies is always valid regardless of time when it was published. Answers: 1. F. 2. T. 3. T. 4. F. 5. T. In your previous discussion, you studied identifying evidence in a text. Evidence is the information you find in the selection that helps you support your answer. Now, read the texts below and answer the following questions. The Happy Sheep, by Wilfred Thorley. All through the night the happy sheep lie in the meadow grass asleep. Their wool keeps out the frost and rain until the sun comes round again. They have no buttons to undo, nor hair to brush like me and you. And with the light they lift their heads to find their breakfast on their beds, or rise and walk about and eat the carpet underneath their feet. Question: what is the setting of the poem? Answer: 1. In the meadow or at night. Evidence: the author states. 2. All through the night the happy sheep lie in the meadow grass asleep. Success is counted sweetest, by Emily Dickinson. Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of all the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear of victory as he, defeated, dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of triumph break, agonized and clear. Question: what is the message of the poem? Answer: 3. Success will be valued more by people who always fail. Evidence: the author states. 4. Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed. 5. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. You always encounter different authors who use set of evidences from multiple sources to support their text and come up with reliable information as well as to persuade readers. But how can you determine if the source in a text you are reading it has good or valid evidence? In validating evidence, is there a need to check the credibility and reliability? This lesson will help you judge the validity of the evidence of a text. After finding the evidence in the text, next is to identify whether these facts or data support the point and came from reliable and credible source. If they do, then these evidence become valid. How do you evaluate or judge the validity of the evidence? Davis Oldham in his article enumerated different ways how to evaluate them, and these are the following. 1. Is the evidence sufficient? Is there enough of it, or do you need more to feel convinced? 2. Is the evidence relevant? Is it really about the point the author wants to prove, or did it go off on a tangent, providing facts that do not have anything to do with the point? 3. Is the evidence representative? This is the hardest one to understand, but also the most important. Representative evidence is evidence that accurately represents the whole topic, not just a selected piece. What makes evidence valid? Evidence is said to be valid if it is strong and it connects to the question and answer. Evidence found in primary source such as literary works, historical documents, photos, biographies, and quotations is an example of strong and valid evidence. When reading a passage and selecting specific evidence, ask yourself, how does this quotation, article, photo, or data support the question and answer or the text itself? Example: weak use of evidence. I believe that online learning is a practical method of acquiring knowledge this time of pandemic. It is a platform where students can access learning at any place and time. According to the WHO, 1 in 4 persons in the world will be affected by mental and neurological disorders at some point in their lives. Through online learning, education continues 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which is very helpful in new normal education. This is a weak example of evidence because the evidence is not related to the claim. What does the claim about online learning have to do with mental disorder? It may have a connection, but in this paragraph, definition of online learning must be the focus. Stronger use of evidence. I believe that online learning is a practical method of acquiring knowledge this time of pandemic. It is a platform where students can access learning at any place and time. Ruiz, 2006, defined online learning as using internet technology for enhancing performance and knowledge on their convenient time. Through online learning, education continues 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which is very helpful in new normal education. This is a better example, as the evidence is more smoothly integrated into the text. The definition of online technology from Ruiz is an evidence that supported and strengthened the claim or the topic, which makes it valid. Directions: read and analyze the text. Then, answer the given activity. Robert Frost was one of America's best-loved poets. Born in San Francisco in 1874, he moved to New England as a boy. After college, he settled down on a small New Hampshire farm with his wife Eleanor. It was here that Robert Frost lived the life of a country farmer that he described so well in his poems. Raising a family and enjoying the serene country setting, the fields, the woods, and bubbling brooks, he took inspiration from his surroundings. Many of his best poems were written during this period. Robert Frost was also a teacher. He taught at Harvard University and Amherst College. He was also a Pulitzer Prize winner, winning it 4 times. In 1924 for New Hampshire, A Poem with Notes and Grace Notes. In 1931 for Collected Poems. in 1937 for a further range, and in 1943 for a witness tree. Even after Robert Frost had become famous, he continued to draw from his love of country life and nature to create the wonderful poems for which he is remembered. He died on January 29, 1963 in Boston, Massachusetts. A. Directions. Answer the questions below. 1. After reading the text, what do you think is the central idea? 2. Write sample sentences or evidences that support your idea. 3. Explain how citations and lines support your idea. V. Directions. Write E if the statement is evident in the text and NE if it is not evident. Write your answer on the space before the number. 1. The text is sufficient and composed of several facts about the life of Robert Frost. 2. There are citations and quotations found in the text. 3. The author helps the reader understand the texts by providing relevant evidence. 4. Group of evidences found in the text are factual and valid. 5. Opinionated statements are present in the text. Answers. A. 1. America's Best Loved Pets. 2. He was also a Pulitzer Prize winner, winning it 4 times. 3. Answers may vary. Answers. B. 1. E. 2. NE. 3. E. 4. E. 5. NE. Identifying evidence in a text based from facts is very important to answer different questions as well as assessing their validity if they are strong enough to justify the point of the author. Now, read another text and assess the validity of the evidence by answering yes or no. Put a check mark on the column that corresponds to your answer. In 1945, the Charter of the United Nations became the first international agreement to affirm the principle of equality between women and men. The UN celebrated its first official International Women's Day on March 8 during International Women's Year in 1975. 2 years later, in December 1977, the General Assembly adopted a resolution proclaiming a United Nations Day for Women's Rights and International Peace to be observed on any day of the year by member states, in accordance with their historical and national traditions. 1. The text is about how the International Women's Day first emerged. 2. The dates and year, like in 1945, in December 1977 and February 28, 1909 are samples of valid evidence in the text that came from research. 3. The statement "Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World" is irrelevant. 4. The data in the text is not enough to express the author's point. 5. The sentences, "In 1917, women in Russia chose to protest and strike under the slogan 'Bread and Peace' on the last Sunday in February, which fell on March 8 on the Gregorian calendar. Their movement ultimately led to the enactment of women's suffrage in Russia," are evidence that represent the whole article. Answers. 1. Yes. 2. Yes. 3. No. 4. No. 5. No. A. Directions. Read the questions carefully and choose the correct answer. Write the letter on the space before the number. 1. This refers to the importance of the evidence in a text and its connection to the ideas. A. Efficiency. B. Relevance. C. Representative. D. Sufficiency. 2. It is an evidence that accurately represents the whole topic. A. Facts. B. Representative. C. Validity. D. None of the above. 3. Sufficiency of evidence tells whether A facts are effective in the text. B. Evidence is enough to support the ideas. C. Sources are not evident in a piece of writing. D. All of the above. Answers: 1. B. 2. B. 3. B. B. Directions. Complete the following statements. 4. The lesson in this module made me realize that. 5. The things I learned from this module that I will apply are. Directions. Read the given poem below and answer the questions that follow. She Walks in Beauty, by Lord Byron, George Gordon. She walks in beauty, like the night, of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright, meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light, which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express. How pure, how dear their dwelling place, and on that cheek, and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent. A mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. Directions. Complete the diagram below by supporting the statement with the evidence, lines, found in the text. 1, 2 and 3. The poem praises and seeks to capture a sense of the beauty of a particular woman. 4 and 5. Do you think the author used strong and valid evidence to justify the idea or the message he wants to convey? Prove your answer.
That's all for today. See you in our next lesson. Goodbye.